So the simple answer to this is you don't decide what level you are. Okay? The market dictates what level you are. Okay? I know how that sounds, but like, stay with me on this because it is actually the most liberating thing that I can tell you about this question. Okay, I get asked this constantly, and I understand the paralysis because it feels like a decision about your worth. Okay, but it's not. It's a decision about market positioning. And once you separate those two things, okay, it stops being about an identity crisis and becomes something that you can actually work out, okay, objectively in a short amount of time. Okay, years of experience is the weakest signal that there is. Okay, I've had senior people with 4 years of experience and turned down people with 12 years experience for the same role. Okay, what actually determines level is scope. So, how big was the budget that you owned? How many people did you report to, directly or otherwise? Okay, what decisions could you make without asking for permission? How senior were the stakeholders that you dealt with routinely, like on a daily basis? Okay, and also, like, what was the blast radius actually looking like when you got something wrong, which is something that a lot of people just don't consider. Okay, so here's what I do this week. Okay, it'll take 30 minutes to an hour of your time. Okay, but it'll be well worth it. Pull 10 job adverts, like a senior level in your market. Okay, and 10 that would be considered mid-level. Okay, read them properly, not for the requirements, but for the scope described. Okay, then honestly compare them to what your last 2 roles actually involved. Okay, not what your title said, but what you actually did. Okay, because title company to company is going to vary, and the responsibilities or actions that come with that title company to company is also going to vary massively. Okay, one set of those job adverts will match better. Okay, and that's your answer. Okay, and it'll be more obvious than you expect. What you need to remember is that there is no one uniform way to write a job description. Okay, so you need to do the analysis to understand where you're positioned in the market. Okay, now here's the direct bit. So if you've been applying at senior level for months and getting nothing back at all, it's not really a mystery. Okay, and that's the market essentially answering the question for you. Okay, it's worth listening to rather than pushing harder against. Okay, but don't like overcorrect it either because applying below your level is its own problem. Okay, you don't want to be doing that. Okay, so what I would do here is I would make sure that when you find a job description, I would also always do a skills gap analysis. Okay, so there's a skill MD file inside JobSeeker OS that does this for you. Okay, I would do it against both levels. So get your resume or the resume that you've been applying for. Okay, find 5 different senior level job descriptions, or take the 10, do the full analysis, the 10 senior, 10 mid level. Do a skill gap analysis against both. Okay, it'll show you exactly what's missing for senior. Okay, and it'll tell you exactly what's missing for mid level roles or where you're actually overqualified. Okay, if the gap is 1 or 2 things and they're closable, target senior and work towards closing them. If it's 5 things or 5 plus things and they're all scope based, then make sure that you are targeting mid level deliberately. Okay, do it well and then move up from inside. Okay, the version of this that goes badly is applying to both. Okay, you don't want to be applying to different level roles, okay, where you think you're genuinely targeting the market. Okay, you don't want to be applying to both with the same resume. Okay, because there'll be no clear story that actually makes yourself aligned for both. Pick, comment, and then give it about 6 weeks before you reassess. Okay, don't apply for roles for a week off the back of analysis. Go, oh, this isn't working, and then iterate again, and iterate again. One of the biggest mistakes that I see. You got to remember that companies may take 1, 2, 3 weeks to actually reply to an application. Okay, so you've got to see it out. Okay, that would be my advice for that.